Well, hello, everybody. Thanks for checking in today. First off, I'd like to wish my wife a happy birthday. Hence the reason that the song that played during the countdown was titled Old. All right. So with that, tonight's live chat brought to you by Midwest Industries. Top-notch stuff. Like all the stuff. Big fan of those folks. I met them at a class. Says a lot. Like I like to see people in the industry who are training with the stuff that you make or sell or whatever for in the industry. Otherwise, I don't really consider them in the industry. They just they're in the manufacturing industry. These cats I met in class. They were students. I was student. So anyhow, Midwest Industries is the sponsor for tonight's Liveshat. Will Crutcher says, gear manufacturers that train make better products on average. I concur. Amal, hello. John, hello. Will, obviously, hello. Uncle Guns, hello. So, I was hoping to have a guest tonight, but I don't believe he's free. I haven't heard. Crystal, hello, dear. I was hoping to have Jonathan Aldridge from Iron Forge Consulting on. He is running some paramedic shifts today and wasn't sure if he would be out in time to make it, and I hadn't heard back from him. Although I should probably do this. Copy that, and maybe I will send him the link just in case. Bear with me. I'm opening the desktop version of Signal to send him a message. So anywho, excuse me. If he gets on here, we'll chit chat about what he's been up to, things he's got planned, maybe coming to Pennsylvania. Actually, it's been confirmed he will be a presenter at the muster, so there's that. So he'll be up here for that. And along with a whole bunch of cool folks, we will have 2 medic blocks of stuff. Jason Hedrick, hello, sir. Iron Forge Consulting and Meisker's Magic of Medicine. Both were here at the first muster, and we'll be back for the third muster. There he is. So we will just drop him the link. So if I see his little face pop up over in my connected box, I'll know that he is ready to join us. Yeah, Crystal, he said he was he had stuff, but if he got out at a normal time, he'd be able to make it. So I just dropped him the link, and if I see him pop up, I'll add him in. He has two things planned in Pennsylvania that I think we can talk about. Casey ain't here to punch in, but we'll he might have other things I'm plotting that we won't talk about. But he will be presenting at the muster. I don't know what the topic's going to be. He also is planning a Friday class, like a short form class, the Friday before the muster. So that'll be pretty slick. For those of you not coming to the Crucible, they can get your invite to the invite-only Force on Force event. Maybe that's the ticket for you. He's also going to be, he's planning to come up here and instruct in the Wolverine Warfare class, which I'm still trying to nail dates down for in October. Shinde, hello, sir. But he definitely will be here on the day of the muster and the day before the muster, and maybe another time. But we'll let him discuss that if he pops in. But if he doesn't pop in, I won't have a guest tonight. It'll just be little old me. I do believe that the over on Bulletin, maybe Crystal, if you're still here, maybe you can do the admin stuff and run over to Bulletin and see if Jonathan has the day before the muster class posted. I believe he does. And I'm gonna do you all a solid and reference my signal chat with him. And because he said that course is posted. And if you use the code, see if I can't copy and paste that for you all here. I need one of them people like Joe Rogan has that just do stuff. Like I can say, hey, you, whatever his name is, do some things. I mean, Crystal's pretty good at it. And every once in a while, Mike does something. But like if there was someone sitting in this room, it'd be way easier. So the coupon code I just put up is Tremis. Will knock $25 off. So if you're coming up for the muster and you want to get Jonathan's shorter form med class in on Friday, I can save you $25. That code is not for public dissemination. It is for my peoples. You guys are my people. So sharing it here, I'll probably put it over on the alumni page as well, or maybe let Jonathan put it over or whatever. But that is a coupon for you guys. All right. Oh, apparently I have some automatic things popping up too for the low light stuff that we added. It's a white light pistol class, a white light rifle class, and a night vision rifle class. Those are all workshops. 25 May, we're doing a shooting a moving pistol during the day, low light pistol in the evening, and then 26 May, we're doing a low light rifle in the evening. And we'll probably sleep in a little bit on Sunday morning because we're going to be out late Saturday night. But before class starts on Sunday evening, when it gets dark, we'll probably, folks that are around, will all get together and like do stuff, like a meet and greet hangout kind of thing. All right. What else is happening? Oh, right around the muster. I think I mentioned this before. Dave Biggers will be here doing the Red Zone. That is Sunday and Monday. So Sunday, you have the option of going to the range and doing live fire day of Red Zone, or you can head down to Danville to Rock God Brewing Company and check in with Sunny for conflict management. And then Monday is the force on force portion of the Red Zone. So that all is happening. Scott Wexler, hello, sir. Iroquois Foreskin, hello. Colt Manny, hello, hello. Good to see you all here. Checking in and whatnot. Rolling down here through the big announcement. The Dynamic Week 6 has been moved. I have an official date, and it came through today. I have not sent the email out to the people that have signed up. So if you're listening now, surprise, surprise, it's got bumped a week later. So instead of Labor Day weekend, it is the weekend after Labor Day. It is still Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Friday, Saturday is Dynamic Carbine. Sunday is Day 3 Carbine. Monday is Team Dynamics. So that is happening. Apologies, it's not on a holiday weekend, But the range is having a international motocross race that weekend, and that's the biggest event they have at the facility, and that takes up like the whole fucking 4,000 acres or a good chunk of it, and so they closed the range down. And I booked the date before they booked a date, but since they take priority, we got bumped. Stephen, hello, sir. Carbine, yes, Scott, it is Carbines in the weekend after Labor Day, whatever the hell that is on the calendar. I could probably open a calendar app here on my desk or top and see when that actually is. So we have moved it to 6, 7, 8, 9 of September. And then we have a night vision study group the following weekend. Yes, good stuff happening out there in September. All right, so those are those updates. So Crystal just gave us with the Introduction to Tactical Medicine link over on the bulletin.net. Thank you. You are the best moderator, administrator, whatever title it is that allows you to post links. Oh, I see him. I see him over there. He made it. I'm gonna cue him in here in a second. He's getting his camera set up, wearing some headphones, probably jamming out to some Machine Head, like we all were at the beginning of this evening's live chat. Javier, hello, sir. All right. I had a little glitch in my screen there. So it looks like Jonathan's going to give me a thumbs up if he's ready. He gave me the thumbs up, so we're gonna cue him on in here, and I don't know what we're gonna talk about. So that's the amount of prep that he has got from me, and we'll see how we can punch him in. And it looks like we're gonna do that one. I had to pick a format. There we go. Does that one work for everybody? If he speaks, can we hear him?
Can you hear me?
Oh, I hear him.
Hopefully it's better than the last time I was on the live chat.
Well, it's all right. I've had spotty internet connection myself at times, so.
Well, thanks for having me on, Gary. I appreciate it, man.
Well, thanks for coming on. Stephen, I'll come back to your question. I was just pimping out your shit in case you weren't able to get on here. The things that are publicly known, I went ahead and shared.
Okay.
That you will be presenting at the muster, and that you have a introductory class the night before the muster. And I even shared a coupon code with some folks that are watching.
Oh, okay.
Crystal says it's already working better than last time, so
good.
We're rocking. And then that was all that I gave them. I didn't mention anything else, although you can feel free to divulge any other information that you so like. This is your platform as much as it is mine.
Sure. So we are planning to come to Bloomsburg and do a class in Bloomsburg. It's sometime in June. It'll be one Saturday in June. We're going to do our 1-day active threat medicine course. As far as our curriculums are broken down, we teach the same types of interventions, but throughout the various time slot offerings, right? We have a 4 to 6 hour class, we have an 8 to 10 hour class, and then we have a 16 to 20 hour class that we offer. And you will get the foundational skills in any of those classes that you decide to take. Now, what you get differently in each of those classes is more hands-on time, more in-depth anatomy and physiology, the why behind why we're doing certain things. So I find that the typical person usually likes a 1-day medical class, and then the person who's kind of not sure and who maybe doesn't have the funds to do a full day, they typically gravitate towards that 4 to 6 hour class. But the good news is they get just this, they get the same amount of information. They just get a little less hands-on time than they would if they signed up for another course. But the cool thing is you still get a tourniquet if you come to any of those classes.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so that's kind of our shtick. We think that it is a great idea that if you come to learn a life-saving skill, that you have the ability to leave class immediately and save someone's life, whether it's yours or somebody else's. So that's a big thing that we try to push. So you get a tourniquet when you come to class and complete class.
That's awesome.
So
I just decided on this moment that anybody that signs up for the shorter version, the introductory class, the night before the muster, even if they use a coupon code to get a discount on it, I am going to give you, when we get offline here, a coupon code that you can share with them so that they can get 20% off of the cost of the muster the following day.
that's a very, very kind deal of you, Gary. I appreciate that, man. And I'm sure that everybody on here appreciates that.
I'm willing to wager there's some folks coming to the muster that are watching the live chat tonight. And what I'm going to do is, because I have different price structures for the muster, it's $50 for the day. If you are an alumni of Tremis Dynamics, it's $25. And the 20% off would be $10. So if you are an alumni, you will still be able to use that coupon code and get an additional $10 off. So like it stacks with the built-in alumni discount.
That's a great deal, man.
So, aha. And I don't even know if I'm capable of doing that in my website. So I might be writing checks that I don't have the capability to cash, but I will figure out what we need to do to make it happen. Because I think there's a box I can check that lets discounts stack with each other. I'm not a web guy.
Stacks on stacks. Yeah, I have no idea. I use Eventbrite, and they do all my stuff for me. So
fair enough.
So here's something about the presentation at the muster that I intend on doing. This year it's going to be a little bit different. Last year we couldn't make it because I had some other obligations, but this year and so we sent a prize package last year, but this year we're going to have something where you can maybe earn a prize package.
Ooh.
Yes. So I'm gonna tease out. We've got something I like to call the TACMed Challenge. So if you come to class or have come to one of my classes or been in any tactical medical course, you can participate, and there's going to be an element of stress and an element of time management, and we'll see what happens. And then the winner will have the best time and the best performance, and they'll get something. I haven't decided to the extent of what they're going to get, but they're going to get something.
Well, what's interesting is we often end up with a fair amount of prizes donated by folks in the industry to give out to folks in whatever manner we feel like giving out. So we might be able to sweeten the pot a little bit with some of the stuff that we maybe make it a little cooler.
We always talk about pressure testing our skills, so let's put them to the test. Let's challenge people, and so I figured that's incentive enough. And hey, you will have an edge if you are in class the night before. I promise you.
Ooh, lots of bonuses. That's like a triple stack advantage or perk or whatever.
It'll be fresh in your mind. So,
well, I would do poorly at it. I have no chance to win. I mean, I shouldn't be in the running anyway. But I've been told my performance is usually pretty low, but my times are really fast. Maybe
you know what?
Different. I might be something different.
I think I've been told that as well a time or two. But it's a race. and I want to win.
I want to win. I'm gonna come across the finish line first. Damn, it's terrible.
Oh man,
Probably gonna get cut off by YouTube any minute now.
Any second.
As it turns out, YouTube doesn't care what I do anymore since I demonetized my channel.
That's a good point.
They just don't care. I'm sure I've already violated. I'm positive I violated rules today and in every live chat in 2024, and they don't care. They also don't actually recommend my channel to anyone anymore either. So
that's yeah. Does anybody have any non-gear related medical questions that are related to trauma medicine?
Oh yes, by all means, let's throw those things out there.
Non-gear related. I don't want to talk about tourniquets unless we're talking about how to apply them. I don't want to talk about recommendations. You can find that stuff. I do that stuff other places. But if you've got a question,
gear talk is usually pretty meh.
Well, I do the thing that I'm not supposed to do and participate in some places on the internet, and it's very frustrating because it's a lot of that. Hey, let's talk about gear. Hey, rate my individual first aid kit. And it's like, come on, man, just buy the stuff that's on the sheet and put it in there. It's not going to be any different. Like, there's only so much stuff that you need, and there's particular things you need. Just buy the stuff that that's recommended. That's it. We don't need to rate it. We all have tourniquets. We all have hemostatic agents. We all have airways and needles and chest seals and space blankets. It doesn't need to be any more complex than that.
Although, like my gears are spinning. You probably the viewers have seen that happen. Little smoke wisps coming out. That seems like a possible way to drive some traffic. If
it's true,
you host the rate my whatever, and then have some sort of like running tally of who gets the most thumbs ups or whatever. Maybe give away. I'm looking around the studio here for something to give away.
Javier, what's the most challenging bullet wound to manage? The one that you don't find. That is the one. Yeah. So it's not like on television. It's not like in the movies, right? Like, we don't always get these big gaping bullet wounds. Sometimes
there's an ex-wife joke in there somewhere.
There is a big gaping gash, if you will. So that's why we hammer March assessments so heavily. Because you've got to find these wounds, and they will hide in places. And throwing out a hint, that might be part of the TACMED challenge.
Ooh,
so
sounds like there's something.
So, but I would say the other thing to that, Javier, like not being tongue in cheek, is that we think about bullets passing through people at straight angles, right? Straight lines, like straight on to the target. And
the cardboard is two-dimensional, so
right. And so we have to take into account trajectory and like the angle you're shooting from, and are you shooting from an elevated position or are you shouldn't be shooting up, but if you're shooting at somebody in an upward motion, the other aspect is shooting people from the side. That's a difficult thing to manage, right? Because if you think about all the tissue damage that's going straight across your body, not straight through, it can be tough to manage, especially when you don't know what is what. So, but yeah, so you got to find those injuries, and then you got to take into consideration that bullets don't travel through the body in a straight line. They hit bone and they deviate and they go all over the place.
So something that you mentioned and Crystal has alluded to in her comments, if you have to fight upwards, that's usually when you get a bunch of limbs cut off. It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground.
Yeah, that's true. I'm on my cell phone, so I can barely see. I have to like get in here and squint to see the question. So
Oh.
I might get you to read them off, Gary.
Well, there is another one. Where was it? Iroquois Foreskin says, "Do
It's a
you
good name.
teach how to do an IV?"
I do not. That is like a study group kind of thing, and here's my thoughts on it. Um, I will not take money from you to show you how to do that. Now, if it's a private group of us, I will show you how to do that. But there's lots of things to consider. It is a perishable skill, um, and if it's not something you're doing and practicing a lot, you're not going to be able to do it on demand when the pressure is on. Um, there are other aspects, right? Like it's not just okay. Are we trying to raise somebody's blood pressure because they've been shot or or we're trying to give them fluids because they're dehydrated, right? There are other aspects we have to take into account, and if we look at a military population, it's not as big of an issue, right? Because we have healthy males typically from the ages of 18 to 30, and we don't have all the other medical issues, right? We don't have congestive heart failure, and we've got fluid backing up onto somebody's heart or their lungs. And if we give them fluids in that instance, we can quite literally drown them. So it's stuff like that. We can get infections from IV sites, right? It's not a big deal, but it's not as benign as everybody likes to think it is.
I hear that question frequently when we discuss medical blocks of instruction in carbine classes. And when do we get to the IVs? And I usually start with raise your hand if you have IV solution available to you like right
Right.
now. And everyone's like, well, can't you just go buy it? Nope. And
That
like,
is
oh,
a
I
prescription.
don't know how to get it then. And I'm like, then why are you worried about when we're going to do IVs?
Something that I have myself, as I've gone through this paramedic school process, the realization I've come to is medicine is something that you cannot just do casually, right? You want the people providing you medical care um, to have that be their thing. Um, Now, like trauma stuff. Absolutely. People can absolutely save lives by putting tourniquets on, by packing wounds, by putting chest seals on, um, all those things. People in those instances, the immediate responders in those instances, they're the ones that save lives, right? Like at that point, if I get there, we're already behind the eight ball, just because of the amount of time it takes and the short amount of time it takes for somebody to die in that sort of instance. But when it comes to anything that is more in depth, more invasive, you got to understand the why. Like I said, that's definitely a study group thing that I'm 100% willing, to show in that context. But I just can't, in good conscience, take money from people without them having the full background of the why and the concerns of doing that procedure. Uh,
So what I'm
so
hearing is maybe a Sunday in June.
it's very possible that a Sunday in June there might be a study group involving that.
Well, I know how to put study groups together. I've done one or two before. So
You are the man that I hear can do that.
I've
So
had moderate success with organizing study groups. I think we're at 70 study groups.
yeah, it was up there. I attended a
We're in the
couple
high
last
60s
year.
at least. So yeah, we've done one or two, and then we've done some private things too that aren't even a part of the numbered like list of study groups because they weren't open. So yeah, a little experience with organizing that kind of thing. So maybe maybe we'll have to do some organizing there. So two other questions have popped up.
All right.
One is a little more easier to field, so we'll do that one first. As a follow up there with Iroquois foreskin.
Mhm.
Have you noticed an uptick in medical training recently compared to gun training?
I have noticed more people doing it. And I would say that that is a net positive. Most shooting schools now have added the medical component, and um, in the circles we all travel in, that's that's a positive thing. But I've noticed schools outside of the circles we travel in adding it to their curriculums, and I mean, it's kind of wild if you look at the American College of Surgeons website and see who they allow to be a Stop the Bleed instructor. It's like everybody. It's like if you stayed at a Motel 8, you're a Stop the Bleed instructor, and which is good, right? I get their mindset behind it, right? They have a program that they put out, and they want it to be out there and visible and available to people and just very accessible. Um, but there's more to medicine than just stopping a bleed, for
Yeah.
sure. Um, but it's a super super important thing, and especially because we as gun people carry guns and dangerous things, and um, it's the old thing of, right, we need to understand how to fix that harm that we're doing if we're going to cause harm, or
Yep.
so.
I concur. I definitely concur. Um, Adam Hall says they got up to 5 study groups down where he's at, and I know Adam's like he's thinking we only got to 5. I'm telling you, that's 5 more than most people who train get. Like
Yeah.
there's not a lot of folks that successfully organize one study group. So I'm going to give you a small round of applause. And what you were doing that was working, like you should do more of that. And don't feel free to like ask if there's ideas that I can share with you. I'll gladly do that. Adam is in Tennessee there, Mr. Foreskin. So Aiden Donovan asked the more in-depth question.
Okay.
What can a classically trained, to me that says like from the days of Aristotle, ER doctor or nurse, it just scrolled off hold on, let me scroll back up. Learn from your classes, which are not performed / learned in a facility setting.
So
He's trying to convince his wife to take this kind of class.
okay. So um, what you will get out of a class, my class, or a class like mine, if you work in a clinical setting, you don't work in a field setting, and even if you do work in a field setting and you do civilian, fire EMS, the the medical interventions are going to be very very similar. You're going to get some nuances from me or some other guys talking about why we do things a particular way in the tactical environment. And the ultimate thing is, like, we're providing medicine in a dangerous place. The scene is not safe, right? We do not have security there. We have to provide our own security, and so you're going to get that perspective. The other thing you're going to get is a look at different stressors. It's stressful working in a clinical setting. It's stressful working on an ambulance, but it's also significantly more stressful when people are shooting at you, around you, at other people that you know. It is a significantly different ball game then, and I am all about helping you be prepared for the day that happens. And I'll say this, all these things that we talk about, I 2 years ago, actually 2 years ago tomorrow, was on shift, and we had an officer involved shooting, and one of our police officers ultimately lost his life. And all the things we talk about with stress reaction, I was going through. I got the auditory exclusion. I got the visual occlusion, right? My vision sucked in. And uh, at one point, somebody was yelling at me. They apologized to me afterwards. They're like, dude, I'm sorry I yelled at you. I was like, dude, you yelled at me? I had to really, really think back. And I, and the thing of it was, is I knew this was happening when it was happening, but if I hadn't had some level of training up to that point, I don't think I would have been able to function. It was difficult to apply those principles of tactical medicine in that instance, even having had training, and and I can't imagine how it would be without having training, just because it's such a different ball game. Um, so I would say that's a long answer to this. You're going to get the why behind we would do certain procedures a particular way, or why we wouldn't do certain procedures at all in the tactical environment from my class. You would also get some stress inoculation and some things like that from the scenarios we do, because they are geared towards that dangerous tactical environment where things are going bad.
I can say for sure that the final exercise that we did the last time you were up here is not taught to ER doctors and ER nurses.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Not that they aren't capable, like like they're too dumb to do it, because we had a 15-year-old, maybe he was 14, 13. Fuck, I don't remember. What year?
We just did this in May. This last May.
Was it last May? So he was 15.
Yeah,
he's 16 now.
Yeah. Too old for me. Right. Got it.
Well, he might depend, because he turned 16 at the end of May. So I couldn't remember. It seems so long ago. Oh yeah, because it was like 3 years ago that you were up for the 2-day class that I wasn't here for because I was somewhere else teaching.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Crystal mentioned that part earlier.
Yes. Yeah. So,
but yeah, they definitely don't do that. I was in a class once, and I was working at Tactical Response, and we had like the big group of people, and when they did the introductions, we had an ER doctor in class, and I was like, that guy's going to be my lead medic. And we had a paramedic in class, like 2 nurses and a couple EMTs, because there were like 35 people there. So we had a great selection. Well, when we got to the medical plan, I was like, Mr. ER doc, you are going to be our primary medic, blah, 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 blah. And he said, I actually think it should be the paramedic because I haven't put a tourniquet on since med school.
Right.
And I was like, say again? He goes, I cut them off, but I don't put them on. And the paramedic said, I put on 2 this week. And so I said to him, I was like, well, okay, well, people come into the ER, they're still bleeding, man. Like, what do you do when there's the blood's coming out, like the shit's leaking? He says, I say, nurse, hold that. And then she does. And I was like, oh, yeah, I don't have one of those with me, so I'm going to carry the tourniquet. I get where he's coming from. I can understand, like, he didn't.
Right.
It wasn't a tool he needed because he had manpower out the wazoo. And I know he was joking around. There was some level of humor in his answer,
right?
But he was pointing out that the paramedic put on a lot more tourniquets than he has.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The doctors whole thing is, and they do some higher acuity interventions, but their whole thing is to direct the care of the patient, right? They have to be the big thinker. And sometimes the doer in the case of surgeons, or even in the ER, like the doctor doing intubations or, more complex procedures. But yeah, by and large, nurses and techs do a lot of the care in emergency departments. And that's not to short sell doctors, right? They've got to understand what's going on with the person.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, the big thing is you're going to get some stress inoculation that you would otherwise not get in your clinical environment, and you're going to get some just different ways of looking at problems you encounter every day. So that's the best answer I have to that question.
So now, Aiden, if you and your wife come take one of Jonathan's classes, not some other tactical medicine type class somewhere else, but you come take one of Jonathan's classes and you don't feel like you got your money's worth, I will comp you whatever you paid him in classes from me later.
You're putting the pressure on me, Gary. But that's a high compliment. I appreciate that. I appreciate your faith in me and Iron Forge Consulting Group.
I believe in you 100%. And now, of course, Aiden is an alumni of Tremis Dynamics, so he might be saying, I don't want any of your fucking classes again either. So that might not lure him in. I don't know.
You're trying to lure him with Disney bucks, and we're not there.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I've been there, done that. I don't want any more Disney bucks. Now there is a gear question.
Okay.
And it's not the gayest gear question I've heard. So Javier said, why are rats tourniquets should not be the first option?
I answered this the last time. All right. So here's the deal, right? Like whether they work or whether they don't work, I have to teach I teach to a guideline, and the guideline is by the Committee of Teacher IC, or Tactical Combat Casualty Care. People that are way smart, and I'm not saying they're perfect, but what I am saying is they look at a lot of data, they look at a lot of research, and I have to teach you a standard. And the standard that they talk about with tourniquets is a 1.5-inch wide tourniquet with a windlass, right? Those are the requirements, and those are the requirements because they don't want. They found that is the optimal width that you get occlusion of the vessels to stop the bleeding, and you do not run into the risk or the same level of risk when you use something narrower to cause tissue and nerve damage, right? So that we want to avoid that, right? Because one of the principles of tactical medicine is create no additional casualties, and part of that is we create no additional injuries to the casualties we have. So we want them to be able to walk away from that. The other aspect is having a windlass. Once you get the slack out, having a windlass allows you to add more pressure into that tourniquet, right? It allows you to control that bleed even more. The rats does not have that. It relies on the elastic to kind of give you additional pressure. I've played around with them. I don't have any. I've played around with them. We've got one in our training box of, hey, don't buy this shit. But I don't recommend them, because here's the deal. The other aspect of it, like people talk about the space savings of them. If you fold them up, you can get it they're going to be about the same size as even a cat folded up. If they're not, you're folding your cat wrong.
Yeah.
And it's soft T wide. Forget about it, man. Like I carry that tourniquet every day. Is it my favorite tourniquet? No, but I think it's a great option. And talking about carrying one every day, it's a great one to carry every day because it packs pretty small. So I don't buy that whole thing of like, oh, it's space savings, because once you ball that rat's tourniquet up, it's huge.
It is.
And
And for the fellow that's about to say, in case that guy is out here watching, but I can weave it through my belt loops. And okay, you can also do that to a soft tee.
Oh man,
you could weave that through your belt loops. You could
yeah.
do it to a cat. Like you could do it to any of them if you open it up and run it through your fucking belt loops.
I think Ed's manifesto, they talked about like when they were doing security work more undercover and not having stuff that would be obvious in their pockets. They talked about like undoing a cat and running it down the pants, or the inside their pants leg,
Yep, just
and
let it hang
like,
free down by your
yeah.
shin or in
hmm
your shoe if you're my height.
So, I mean, I just don't buy that stuff as far as the reasoning. You know, I get it. I appreciate somebody trying to be ingenuitive in the marketplace. The other aspect, and Javier knows me. He knows what I'm going to say.
Yep.
He's asking that to hear me say it. Quite honestly,
I
the
read it out loud because I like to hear it too.
yeah, quite honestly, the dudes who made that, I don't know them personally, but what I do know is that they did some underhanded marketing towards the beginning of that venture, and that's unacceptable. They tried to say that that particular device was approved by the Committee on TTRIC, or they not committee, they said TCC approved. Okay, it hasn't been approved. And the fact of the matter is, the Committee on TTRIC does not make approvals of tourniquets; they make recommendations. Um, and again, they're not perfect. However, it doesn't fit the bill for what they would recommend anyway. Um,
Um,
I'll
I don't personally know the fellas behind Rats, but one of their other previous failed business ventures I utilized as a customer and had to get angry with them before they would give me my money. So, uh, like, I already had a foul taste. I I don't feel bad that the tourniquet doesn't meet my needs or requirements,
mhm,
because I wouldn't want to give them any business after their previous uh, interactions with them.
right. And here's the deal. Everybody's like, well, what about kids, or what about dogs? All right, man. Like, I'm not a veterinarian, so the dog aspect. I actually have a guy that works for me, who is a canine handler, um, and and he's the one that's doing my like canine medicine stuff for me. Um, Basically, the way he puts it, the anatomy and physiology of a dog is not the same. They do a lot better of shunting off those that compromised vasculature than human beings do, and so a lot of times you wouldn't even necessarily need a tourniquet on a dog. Um, he talks about using pressure dressings. Now, pediatrics, if a cat tourniquet or a soft T wide will not fit on a small human being, um, at that point the vasculature runs so superficial to the top layer of the skin that direct pressure is going to allow you to control that. Yeah, grab it. Just grab it with your hand and hold pressure. Now, the problem with that is quite literally now your baby. You start
Yep.
holding pressure, then that's where you're at, and that's what you're doing for the foreseeable future until you get some help in there. The other aspect is, for our pediatric bags at work, I've taken pressure dressings, and we have put pressure dressings in those pediatric bags, the Israeli or emergency trauma dressing, however you want to say it. But the point is, we've put pressure dressings in there because often those allow you to provide enough occlusion, and they have a pressure adjunct on there that allows you to provide additional pressure into the wound site. So those are kind of like our go-to if something is too small to fit on a pediatric. So um, yeah, that's my shtick on that. I can't recommend it. I mean, I guess if you're going to shoot heroin, it'd be fine, but
Oh, hmm. It does seem like that. It is that type of tourniquet,
it does seem like that type of tourniquet.
and it probably folds up small enough to fit in with all your spoons and
your,
lighters and
your
whatever else.
paraphernalia.
Ah. Uh, Kyle says, any tourniquet better than no tourniquet? Question mark. My answer to that, though, is like you spent money on the any tourniquet. When you do that, you could just buy the good tourniquet.
Crystal, will you do me a favor and look up what a rat's tourniquet costs right now, and tell us in the chat what a rat's tourniquet cost? Because I'm going to tell you what a cat tourniquet cost here in just a second.
Javier says buy a cat 7.
I mean, that's the answer. And if you come to class, you get a cat 7. So for the price of entry, you walk away with a tourniquet and the ability to use it.
Rat's tourniquet. I don't know if Crystal's still with us here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she might.
My Medic has them for $20. Amazon is 21.
Okay, all right. So here's the deal. Rats is, let's say, 21 at the top end, or 20. It's shipped to your house. A cat tourniquet is $30. You're not willing to spend $10 more on something that is proven. That is it the perfect tourniquet? No, none of them are, right? They're mechanical devices, and mechanical devices are prone to failure. However, it's pretty damn good for what it is at this point. So $10 is the difference. I don't buy it, man. Just buy a cat, bro. Or whatever. Yeah. Buy Softy White. I don't care. Buy anything that's recommended by the Kotze. I don't like some of the things that they recommend, but any of those are better than that piece of shit rats.
Wow, you started very very low key on I'm not gonna say politically correct because that sounds icky, but you like I'm not gonna step on any toes about why I wouldn't recommend this. And you ended with don't buy that piece of shit. I'm glad you got there.
So here's the deal, right? Like
you know you're not gonna get any sort of sponsorship from them now.
Well, I was never gonna get any sponsorship from them anyway. But that's not the point. The point is there's enough infighting. And while it may be beneficial to for them to be like, oh, fuck this guy, and that would be good for my business probably ultimately, there's too much of that in the industry already. That is not what Iron Forge Consulting Group is about. I just be honest about what you got going on, man. Like you don't have to put that this is approved by XYZ if it's that's underhanded. And I watched the video of the individual explaining that all those years ago, and I was just like, nah, man, I don't buy it. Like, you can't say a business partner did this behind your back, and then like you're getting a sample of this thing before you like ship them out to customers. You know what the deal is,
yeah.
And you're telling me that you were on a special forces team, and that you were aware of tactical medicine and the things in tactical medicine, and I don't buy it. It's just dishonest. And I'm not perfect. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not perfect at all. But I'm also not going to sell you something and lie to you about it.
Agreed. I'm in Team Jonathan here.
So we'll see if they see this and and this is plastered on the internet next week or something.
Just that little part's cut out and shared everywhere.
Right. Hopefully,
I feel like Sean Ryan does in this aspect. Hey man, just tag me in it, and you can do whatever you want with that footage.
Oh man, that's I mean, I don't care, right? Like, because I'm not wrong about this.
Yeah. And if you make them angry and they don't want to have any sort of professional relationship with you, that avoids you having to potentially turn them down if they did want one. So win-win.
Well, I mean, what are they going to do? Take my birthday away?
Yeah. We won't set you up with a dealer account. Okay.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate you. um, uh, all right. I will field one more question if we have time for it, Gary. That is absolutely not gear related.
I don't. A lot of the comments were kind of still, bouncing around the fuck rats. Yep, I got somebody here has some med question. Now here's the time to answer it.
It doesn't even have to be trauma related.
Yeah. Fuck, you could just ask Jonathan how he gets such a sweet mustache.
Oh,
Like, does he use
well,
some sort of beard oil or something on that, or?
the answer is conditioner.
Oh. I used to use conditioner, but then my beard turned gray, and it was either because of the conditioner or getting married. So
Oh, no.
I didn't want to stop getting married. I stopped the
Right.
conditioner.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
beard
yeah.
didn't go back to brown though. So there we go. What's the worst bullet wound you've seen, and what caliber was it?
Man, and here's, like I said earlier, they sometimes they don't look as bad as they actually are, like internally, like on the outside. Um, our officer that got killed, he was, for whatever reason, bullets always find the places that you are not armored. And so he took a round right through the underside of his axillary area, and he did not bleed a lot, right? Like we did not find those wounds, but I think that bullet was found lodged in his spinal cord, and so I'll say this: grotesque injuries, also known as distracting injuries, are not always the thing that's going to kill somebody. That's and I'll say it again. That's why doing a good assessment and finding all the wounds is the better play, versus just oh my gosh, we got to focus in on this thing. Like, a dude might blow his leg off and his leg is mangled, but he also may have a sucking chest wound, and if you don't find that sucking chest wound and put an occlusive dressing over it, he's gonna die long before that infection from that blast injury of his leg kills him. So I don't think it's always about the way a wound necessarily looks. It's about where is it, and what is it, what has it done to somebody's body, and what sort of signs and symptoms are they presenting. So yeah, that's kind of my answer on that. Like, I think
that's good. I think it's a great answer.
Yeah. So
all right. Well, that was we're almost actually 2 minutes, 1 minute now shy of the hour.
Oh wow.
Jonathan got his question answered. I had one question way earlier that needs to be answered yet that wasn't medical related.
Okay.
And when you got logged on, I was like, oh, we're going to go with that. And I'll get back to Steven's question later. But to recap, because I always want to end off with the recap, you're going to be presenting at the muster, where there's going to be a competition with some hands-on stuff. You will do well at that competition if you take the class the day before the muster here in Bloomsburg, which there is a coupon code that I shared in the chat at the beginning to get you $25 off. And if you sign up for that class, you'll also get $10 off the muster. You are one Saturday in June, you're going to be up here doing a full day medical class.
Yep.
and it is tasked to me to organize a study group for the Sunday afterwards. So once you have the date figured out, I'll put the workings together for the study group.
Okay.
And then I did also allude to the fact that the plan is to have you do a block of medical instruction at Wolverine Warfare as soon as I get the confirmation that the weekend that I want is available. What's cool about that is if you think Jonathan's block of instruction during that is a bunch of bullshit, after he's done teaching his block and prior to starting to teaching his block, he's going to get to participate alongside of you all, like with the students. So he is taking the student hat off and putting the instructor hat on for his block. So you guys can make him be the fucking fire watch or something on the coldest evening, if you think it was a bunch of shit. I have another instructor who is going to do a different block of instruction who's doing the same thing. He's going to be one of the guys until it's time to do the teachy parts, and then he's going to go back to one of the guys afterwards. So that is that's our Iron Forge updates in a general sense, not coming up here even then. What else you got in your head for going on the rest of this year, or big plans for next year, or any of that? Because I know that your schedule got I don't want to say easier, but maybe more easier to plan around.
Sure. Yeah. So I've got more time available locally, but travel time is still kind of limited. Just I got some family things going on that I'm handling, and so travel time is a little limited for the next probably like the rest of Q1. And probably into Q2, and then things are going to open up Q3 and Q4. And I would like to get some other travel classes. Probably gonna do the one opportunity in June for the full day class, and then obviously I'll be there for the muster like we've talked about, and then for the immersive experience as well. And I'll just a little tidbit about that. You're gonna get things. I'm going to talk about things in that block of instruction that you're not going to get anywhere else. Like you're not going to get that from my tech med class. You're not going to get that from our force on force class. Like this is going to be something that you won't get any other place but that immersive experience.
Awesome.
So it's important stuff. It's stuff that nobody talks about, and it's specific to that type of environment we're going to be working and living in and learning.
I think there's a bunch of folks in Eastern Europe right now that wish they had that block of instruction.
And that's the point, right? I want you to be aware of it before you got to do it for real.
Yep.
So, but I'd like to do some travel classes. I might know a guy in Montana that I might hit up that knows some people out there, so I might see about a Montana class if that's possible. I haven't talked to the guy out there yet, but I would like to see what he's thinking.
And what's good about what you do is if you don't need to be outside in the weather, it opens up the time frame where Montana is more hospitable. Whereas if you need to be on the range all day, it narrows the window of what months you'd like to go out there.
Right.
So that'll be an advantage for you as well. So, but I'll bet you I'd be willing to wager money that he'd be like, yeah, let's make it happen. But what you need to do is don't plan for like January, because you want to make sure that Glacier is open. Because if you go all the way out there and teach a class and come home and skip the park, like we're going to have like a boxing match or something when you get back, because that would not be okay.
No, mountain lakes are the purpose of Montana, right? Like, yeah. I want to bring the good word to the people out there, but mountain lakes are where my heart is actually going to be focused.
Good to hear. Iroquois Foreskin asks, where is Iron Forge out of?
So we're in a small town called Clifton Forge. That is about an hour north of Roanoke, Virginia. So uh, we have taught some classes here. The local crowd is always the hardest to sell to. So,
Mhm,
um,
mhm.
but yeah, so we're out of Virginia. If I had enough interest, I would travel to a host location in Virginia, or I'll go anywhere. It's like George Carlin said, if you got a fucking zip code, I'll be there. So
Good, good. So for folks that are maybe tuning in not while we're live, if you're watching this, listening to this, later on in the week, I do field a lot of questions on weekends. Hey, I was driving and listening to your live chat, and it's like Saturday, and then they're asking me something that they would have asked live. If you are looking to get some more information from Jonathan, maybe discuss hosting with Jonathan, where are they going to reach out to find you?
yeah, so I've got Instagram, Facebook. I email if you would like to be a host. That would probably be the best thing, and that is going to be Iron Forge Consulting Group altogether at gmail.com.
Well, it's
So
a nice short one.
yeah, it's and very concise to the point. Uh, but yeah, that is the best way to get a hold of me.
And if you
So
hear all this and
yeah,
you can't write it down while you're driving, if you reach out to me and say, "Hey, how do I get a hold of him?" I will get you over to him.
yeah.
So do not fret if you're do not try to write down that email address while on the highway. Just shoot me a message later and I will get you the email address. Perfect. Well, that answers everything that I had from you. I think we got all the viewer questions answered. We hit our time limit. Um, so I guess the last question that I had, you're more than welcome to hang around for this part. You don't have to sign
Sure.
off or anything. Was I got asked what's on the shelf behind me, and I've been hinting a bunch about. And I know it's not in focus, but the Tremis Signature Series Midwest Industries rifle is sitting right there. Expect a video before the next live chat, an actual, like, real honest to goodness YouTube video. Um, but yeah, that's a thing, and you'll be able to go right on the website and buy it. Yay.
That's awesome, man.
So if you go over to the Instagram stories, and I think it cross posts the Facebook stories as well. I've been teasing like little clips, little pictures of little parts of it, and I'm going to keep doing that today, tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to the range to get some video of it making noises, and I'll get some photos, and I'll put more teasers out. And if you're really good, you might be able to piece those puzzle pieces together and make your own full picture of it before I give you one. So yeah, that's the big that was the big thing, and most people won't get this far in the live chat to even hear that, and they won't know until the video comes out next week. Can
I
we
think
put a down payment? Well, I don't know how Midwest does their sales online, if they have like Credova or anything where they do partial payments, or I don't know. I'm not selling the things. It's just got my name on the side. So, and I picked all the parts that are in it. Oh shit! You know what? That reminds me. I did have a question over on the Facebooks that I put on the bottom of my list, which is relevant to that item back there. Somebody asked me what if the list of barrels that I recommend has changed at all, and AR-15 barrels, and my list has not changed. Old Noveski barrels. These are the barrels I've had great luck with. Noveski barrels from back when John was still alive, and John would call you when your barrel was done. Ballistic Advantage Hansen barrels, Criterion barrels, and Roscoe barrels. I have rifles in this house with all of those, and the reason that I have them is because they all have given me great results. And that guy has one of those 4 barrels in it. That's my teaser. All right, so that's what I got. Jonathan had what he's got. And I'm thinking that for all of you guys out there, feel free to comment on the socials if you're interested in more specs about what's happening behind me here. And if not, fine. I'll talk to you guys next week. Take it easy.